Hi folks, welcome back to B Mills Farm. As you can see how I've been feeding them, you've seen it in other videos, but this is how I've been feeding them hay. It's not ideal because of their horns, they can't get their head all the way through the panels there, but if I keep it pushed up against the edges, they can stick their tongue through and they get most of it, and then I push it back up to the sides and they can clean it up pretty good. There's a lot less waste this way, and it gives me kind of a barrier when I go in there. I don't have to open the gate and push them off so that they don't go through the gate. I can just climb over, I can just throw the bales in, climb over the gate, push it up to the edges, and it makes doing chores a heck of a lot easier. They seem to be getting their fill every day, so we'll just keep doing that until we don't have to. So any of you that are on the East Coast or maybe even further, I don't know how far it spreads, but the New York State Fair was, well, it's still going on now, but it's been going for the past few weeks, and it's the biggest, it's a huge show on the East Coast where there's a lot of dairy, beef animals, pretty much any animal you could think of: goats, sheep, cows, alpacas, llamas. And it's a big deal for this side of the country. Like I said, there's, you know, people showing cows, dairy and beef. I believe they show sheep and goats as well, horses. And all along there's always been pigs there. Well, last year we went towards the end of the fair, like last few days, and we went into the pig barn where they have pigs and goats. I think it's pigs and goats in the same barn. And last year there was absolutely no pigs, and we figured that we just had missed it. They, you know, a lot of people pack up before the last few days just to get out and get back home. It's a pretty big commitment to spend an entire week sleeping with your animals in stalls, but people that do it seem to love it. So we figured we just missed out on the pigs, so we went back this year at the beginning of the fair, and again mid-fair, and still no pigs. Absolutely no pigs. There was two, they had like a pig race thing where there was, it wasn't related to any farms or anything. It was just a entertainment thing, and I think there were probably two small potbelly pigs or something silly. But as far as actual farm pigs, you know, show pigs or just pigs that farmers bring in to advertise their farm, there was zero. So that kind of just solidified my thought that in this area, and seems to be on the East Coast, pigs are kind of dropping off in a hurry. I don't know, you know, a lot of farmers that were raising pigs just raised them in confinement, so it wasn't like it's, you know, a whole lot of work. You don't have to move them. You just once a week scrape out their pen and keep feeding them. But they all seem to think it's not worth it anymore. So it kind of leaves me in a really good spot, because I can kind of hopefully corner the market in this area and possibly be known for pigs. I don't care how I'm known. If I'm known somehow, that's good. So if I can produce enough pigs and pork, hopefully I can find a demand for it. Hopefully people aren't just totally burnt out on pigs, and yeah, somebody's gonna need to produce the bacon around here. And unfortunately, I don't think the small community thing is huge around here. I think people are just fine going to Walmart and even the dollar store and buying meat, which is just pathetic in my opinion. You pass so many farms in this area, there's there's hundreds and hundreds of farms around, and if they're just not getting the support from the buyer, then there's no market. So hopefully we can, through YouTube and Facebook and all the social media stuff, produce enough of a following in my area that I can produce pigs and sell them. So maybe we'll have to look into bringing some pigs to the fair sometime. So my winter plans are kind of changing daily. I'm not sure even what route I'm going to go with yet, but I think I have kind of some ideas. This paddock I've kind of given up on turning around this year. I overseeded it, then we got a week worth of rain straight. This whole thing was flooded and the seeds rotted or washed away, and I see no sign of any seeds taking. In the first paddock that I also overseeded, there's a lot of clover and stuff like that coming up. So I know that field at least took. This one just seems dead. The grass that is here, it's not growing. It's kind of just laying dormant, and there hasn't been an animal on here in probably a month now, and we got nothing. So I'm kind of thinking that in order to get the pigs out of this area, out of that mud, I'll put them in here and they can kind of aerate this paddock, and then I can let it rest, and hopefully in the late winter overseed again, and in the spring hopefully it'll start to have some new growth on it. But I would like to keep the pigs out of this corral that they're in. It's just tore up real bad right now, and I just don't like them being in the mud constantly. So if I can keep them out of that corral area until the ground freezes, then I can put them back in there, and it won't be as big of a deal, hopefully, if the ground freezes this year. Last year it just seemed to stay muddy all year round. So my ideas kind of changed. Also, I'm going to change that whole barn. I'm going to have that whole barn so that the pigs can use it, instead of just the section that they're in now. So if it does get super muddy, I can kind of lock them up in there and hopefully survive the winter. Now, one thing I have noticed is how healthy these apple trees have become. So my goal eventually is to get the pigs under these apple trees, but I didn't think ahead, and when we built the fence, there's permanent fencing blocking me from getting the pigs in there, so I have to cut the fence, put in some sort of gate and posts so that I can have a door, and then I can let the pigs go under there. But it gets really wet under there, and I don't want the pigs in constant water, because when I put the pigs in there last time, my first batch of pigs I ever had were in there, and it was wet, and that's when I started to get some parasite problems. There's no sunlight, not a lot of sunlight anyway, under there, and it's wet. It's the perfect breeding ground for parasites. But what is kind of cool is this right here. We've been at this property for over 3 years now, and these trees have really not produced much of anything as far as apples go. There's some, it'd drop a couple ugly ones, but this year by far it's had the most and the healthiest looking apples, and I'm just gonna give the pigs a credit. I'm not sure if it's just a coincidence, but the only thing that's changed as far as these trees go is I let the pigs go under there, clean it all up, aerate the soil, let more light to the ground. Also, It does still get wet in there, but not as wet because they've kind of built a berm in the square paddock that I had them in. So it does kind of divert water a little more than it used to, and maybe that's helping because the trees, they used to have a lot of mold on them and now they don't. So I guess I'm giving the credit to the pigs, and these apples look pretty good. Now, we don't spray the crap out of these apples and never will. So they're not gonna be the perfect supermarket apple that you see, but right there's a good apple that's ready to eat. So that's a plus. So as the plans sit right now for this winter, I'm going to have the chickens in this paddock where the cows are now. I have a new coop that I'm building. This will be where the chickens remain for the winter. This paddock can use all the chicken manure it can take because it's just obviously devastated, but the chickens can fertilize it all winter and we'll pull them off in the spring. The second paddock down there, I think I'm going to let the pigs have that all winter, like I said. And then my secret animal, which I will not keep a secret anymore because I'm still a few weeks out on it, but I will be getting some sheep, some Katahdin sheep for meat, sell lambs, and I will overwinter those in the very first paddock after. When I first get them initially, I'm going to put them up on the hill so they can, because there's a lot of forage up there now, they can eat all that. Still give time for the first paddock to grow, and hopefully grow a stockpile so that when snow starts flying and I can no longer make it up the hill, I can bring them down off the hill, put them in that first paddock. They'll have quite a bit of stockpile to sustain them for a little while, and then eventually I'll have to feed a little bit of hay. But as of right now, these are the plans: chickens, pigs, sheep, and it just helps me out because it keeps them closer to my house. And when there's, 1, 2, 3 foot of snow on the ground, going up that hill is not really an option. So this should keep things not super muddy and make my life a little easier. This area, it was all just completely dirt going up the hill here. I overseeded all this when I overseeded the other two, and as you can see, it's starting to come in a little bit. It's not amazing, we're not going to get any forage off this, but at least there's seed in the ground and some sort of growth happening. So we'll let this rest, and by spring it should be fairly productive. My river's slowed down, but still rolling. All right, so this is the upper field that I'm going to put the sheep on initially. The one good thing about having so many cows, too many cows, is that they ran out of good food, good forage quickly. So it forced them to eat things that aren't so palatable, like goldenrod. Now you can see all the taller stuff out here is goldenrod still, but last year at this time, and maybe I can find a picture of it, but when I drove up here with my truck, this entire field was just goldenrod. The entire thing was up past the hood of my truck, and I was just up here blazing trails, and I had a chain link fence behind my truck that I was just dragging it to knock it all down. But this entire field was goldenrod. Probably 90% of this field was goldenrod. And now we're probably, maybe 40% is goldenrod. So it looks kind of ugly still, but this is a major, major win. This will be a lot of forage for the sheep. The sheep will also pick at the goldenrod, so that'll help. But this is a lot of food for the few sheep that I'm getting. So as you can see, this is all kind of really nice, lush, tender grass coming in here. There's all sorts of different species. A lot of stuff I don't even have any idea what it is, but it looks nice and tender. I could look up what it is, but I know that if you give that to a sheep or a cow, they're gonna love it. So this is what a lot of the field is coming back like, where the goldenrod has been taken care of. And yeah, it's very encouraging. We'll get a lot of forage off this field. Another thing that helped a lot on this field is bale grazing, kind of, and then the cows would come in and eat it and spread it out. So there's a lot of wheatgrass and stuff like that coming up in this field as well. And that's all seed that I didn't have to pay for. You know, I paid for the hay, but the seeds come free with it. So yeah, it's a lot of goldenrod still, but we are moving heavily in the right direction. Hopefully it's like this. I think that's wheatgrass. I'll have to look it up, but this, you can see where there was hay here, and this is coming up. Now, the cows won't complain about that, and the sheep will love it too. All right, well, apparently it's reed or canary grass it's called. So I was wrong, but still, it's green, it's tender, it's leafy. So whatever the name of it, the sheep won't mind. You can see other areas where hay's been tossed, and it's just coming in thick. All right, well, that's gonna do it for today's video. Not a whole lot of action going on around here. I want to get the pigs moved, but we are going out of town at the end of this week, so I don't want to put the pigs in a new area and worry about them getting out while we're not home and put all that burden on the farm sitter. So the animals are all just going to stay where they're at for now until we get back, and then we'll start moving them and getting things figured out. In the meantime, I appreciate all your guys' support as always. My subscriptions are going up, which is awesome. Keep liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and I really appreciate it. If you guys would like a nice B Mills Farm shirt like this, go to bmillsfarm.com, and everything's up there. I have all the sizes and everything that's in stock, so go order it if you would like. Until next time, keep farming. We'll see you later.